This is the first of our regular roundups on P&O, aren't they? What we've tried to do is we've tried to take the news, we've taken some posts from various Facebook pages, from people that have experienced everything, and we've tried to come up with just a roundup. A roundup of what's going on with P&O this week, or in the last few weeks.
So we've been trying to keep our head above the chatter, really, haven't we?
I think
Facebook?
so. I think it's fair to say.
We sort of watch all of the little Facebook pages and all the things that we're listening to, and we're just trying to sort of do a bit of a. I'm very excited to Bumpy this morning. Hello.
Booms. So this is Boomer Bear. If you haven't met him,
if you haven't met Boomer Bear, sit.
He's a chocolate Labrador. There we go. Right.
And he wants to be involved in everything.
Okay.
Anyway, so welcome to our regular roundup, but also welcome to our new Facebook page.
Yeah, we've got a Facebook page. It's P&O Cruises all ships. So please come and join us. We'd be pleased and happy to welcome you on board.
All cruise ships.
Sorry, P&O Cruises all cruise ships.
That's better.
Slap on the hand from Mrs. T.
Yeah,
there you
exactly.
go. Okay, so what are we doing?
So we're talking about sort of data. We'll start off with operationally. Was there anything that went wrong? Well, from everything that we've read, we didn't get anything.
There's been no major operational issues in the last few weeks. No, there's been no incidents, no accidents. Really pleased to say.
So we can say there's a stable week.
There's a stable week, or stable few weeks, that we've seen on P&O, on their cruise ships at the moment.
And then we're going to look at things like promotions and sales pushes. I mean, they're doing some really good late season bookings at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely.
So sort of some of them were. I think to be honest, it was probably at the end of the Caribbean sailings, because they're now repositioned, aren't we?
That we are. Yeah. But it could be for next year's starting of the sailings. But they were offering up to 850, and I think they still are if you look for the deals on board credit.
Absolutely.
And that's a lot of cash to actually have to spend on board.
Yeah.
We've just come back from a cruise and we had 550, and we thought we were like royalty, weren't we?
We did.
Flashing the old cruise cards around, and then you go, oh, I'm paying for this now, perhaps I won't have that extra drink.
And they've announced some new itineraries as well.
Yes.
So new winter 26, 27 destinations. They include
Galveston in the USA and Port Vila, which is just off
Vanuatu.
It's off the island of Vanuatu. No, Port Vila is on the island of Vanuatu, which, if I remember correctly, is South Pacific, just off the off the coast of Australia. I don't know whether it's north, south,
so
west.
We think they're continually expanding now on bigger sort of more traditional, away from the more traditional Caribbean and European routes.
Bringing in a few of those extra new
which is nice.
ports, which is really good.
Yeah, it's brilliant. What else have we got? Just trying to think.
I'll tell you what we have got.
What?
Norway's been an issue over the last few weeks.
Oh yeah, it has, hasn't it? They haven't been able to dock.
Yeah, I really feel sorry for those people that have been out on the Norway cruises on Iona, and I think it might have been Arvia as well. There's been some rough weather. I know Storm Dave? Storm Dave, I think affected a few of the docking days, and I think there's been some bad weather since. So I know there's been some issues out there. But the thing is, P&O and agents, I know P&O do, but agents should do it as well. They should advise you that certainly going in April and May, it can be an issue because those fjords are so narrow, and when you get the wind in there, those ships do rock. So it's all about safety. So if you were affected, I'm really sorry to hear that, and just be mindful of that if you're going up until sort of May, whether or not that's going to affect you. Which leads us quite nicely on to the thing about missed port insurance. Doesn't it? You can get missed port insurance on your travel insurance. Most travel insurances, you have to add it on as an extra. So it's always an extra cost. But just be wary of what actually it covers. I know it says missed port insurance, but does it cover operational reasons, whatever operational reasons are? Does it cover bad weather?
Or port congestion.
Or port congestion, which is another one. So just be mindful of that. If you're going to add missed port insurance onto your holiday insurance, just make sure you understand what it actually covers.
But just remember that missed ports are built into the risk of cruising.
Yeah.
You know, it can't be helped sometimes.
No. We have been on cruises where there's been missed ports, and you just have to
I mean,
suck it
experienced
up.
cruisers turn around and say, oh, well, there's more sea days, or
Yeah.
whatever. I think it's more the first-time cruisers that haven't actually been into that port before, and they get quite disappointed that
Yeah,
they didn't get
especially
to
if
that
they're
port.
looking for some people.
If it's a
are
must-see
planning
port.
on meeting people in ports, so it can be a disappointing. So
But the Facebook chatter on that really has been, it's annoying but expected, but safety always comes first, and always remember that.
Remember that one. The captain's not going to go into a port if it's going to be dangerous, whether it's harmful to the passengers or the crew or the ship. So that's the reason why they do it. They don't do it to save money, and there's a lot of chatter around that as well. Oh, they don't want to go in because it's saving them money and everything else. I think you'll find it's more operational stroke weather issues.
Another thing that's getting chatted about quite a bit is the value versus the decline, as it were, debate.
That's interesting, actually.
I mean, there's two clear camps. There's camp one, who's the loyalists that say we're still great value for money and you get what you pay for. And then you've got camp two, which are the long-term cruises that say standards have dropped and it's not what it used to be.
Well, I think it's fair to say, I wouldn't say standards have dropped. I think the service has changed.
It's expectations, I think.
It's expectation.
Yeah.
I mean, for instance, years ago, you used to be able to go into the main dining restaurants and you'd have silver service. You'd have people serving you with, doing it through the spoons and everything else, and you had the same waiters and everything else. But they've had to change to the world market.
Yeah.
You look at Arvia and Iona, they are huge, large ships. You can't sit there and serve everybody silver service waiting, otherwise you just wouldn't get through all the passengers. So they've had to change and adapt. Yeah. The new people that go on the cruise ship seem to love it. It's great. It's they think they're getting really good service. They think they're getting excellent value for money. So,
which they are.
At the end of the day.
But it's just not what it used to be.
No, and I think if you still search, unless there are some really good deals where people are trying to fill the ships, P&O are really, really good value for money.
Another bit on the chatter is talking about the app, the My Holiday app.
Yes, yeah.
Why have we got to book things when we're on holiday? We're having to book shows, we're having to book dining, we're having to manage everything in the app. It feels like hard work, planning your holiday when you're on holiday. But again, all of these things, we noticed when we were on the Arvia just a couple of weeks ago. We had to use the My Holiday app, didn't we?
Yeah, absolutely.
And we decided on a couple of nights, do you know what, we'll make up our mind on the night. And then it's a case of, we'll join the queue. Well, I joined the queue. There was 59 in front of me. I said, right, we'll go and have a shower.
Jump in the shower and then
literally
we'll go.
Ping, within 2 seconds. It said, come up, your table's ready.
And that literally, it was less than 2 minutes and we had a table ready. Or, on the other hand, we've been wandering around thinking, don't know what we fancy tonight, where are we going to eat, had a drink, and then thought, let's go and try this restaurant. And we just went up and said, can you fit us in table of two?
No problem.
And they said, no problem. So don't fret. If you don't feel as if you've got to be governed and controlled every night about booking a table, because you can get in on the off chance.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it will happen in every restaurant every night, but just bear that in mind. Don't let it ruin your holiday and get frustrated over it.
Yeah. And I suppose really rounding up with a few things like look for the good deals at the moment.
Yeah, there's some really quite good deals at the moment. I'm going to pick up my pad now because I've got a few things written down here.
We're not telling you exactly where to get it from, but this is generalist where we found a couple of things.
So there's some underpriced P&O cruises on at the moment. Iona, there's some good deals on for April and May to the fjords.
Yeah.
Now I know I've just told you about the bad weather that could be, but don't let that put you off. They're doing deals starting between £650 and £900 each, which isn't a bad deal. Whereas normally in June and July it's usually £1,200 to about £1,800 each.
That's all depending on the type of cabin.
Yeah, type of cabins and everything else, but well worth it if you're looking for a bit of a late deal. Same with Spain and France on Britannia. There's some deals for sort of 5-7 night cruises. I think it's all to do with, it's in between their main itineraries. It's in between the spring and the summer itineraries.
And the Med and the fjords.
Yeah, so you're looking about £500 to £800 each on that one. So that's quite a good
that's
one.
That's for 5 to 7 nights.
That's 5 to 7 nights. I did.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. Canary Islands, April to May on Azura, because she's been out there for the winter. Now, this is a repositioning, so it goes from the Canary Islands in the spring out to the Mediterranean for the summer. So there's some real good deals on the repositioning at the moment, £900 to £1,200 each for 12-14 nights. So that's quite good. And again, that's because it's a repositioning cruise from the Canaries into the Med. And then Azura and Arvia, May and June, some deals, 1,100 to 1,400 for 14 nights.
I mean, you'd be looking at 2,000 plus.
Well, it says here, it's usually about 2,000
Yep,
plus
yep.
for July, August. So they are some really good deals at the moment.
So I think
if you can either, if you're at work and you can get some time off work, book it and go. There's some really good deals there. Or if you're retired and you've got all the time in the world and you've still got a little bit of extra cash after the pension comes in, then use it.
Yeah, I mean, the bottom line is right now the sweet spot for P&O value is travel soon, avoid peak season, accept slight trade-offs like weather itinerary risk, and that's where the real bargains are, not the headline offers.
Yes. Interesting on that one. Next year we're going on a cruise in July in the school holidays with 5 of our grandchildren and 2 of our children and their partners, and that'll be interesting for us to see the difference, won't it? Because we always go out of season, or when we know the kids are not on holiday. Not because we don't like children, but it's usually a bit cheaper. So, but that'll be interesting.
But the other thing we want to know from this sort of roundup, what do you want? What do you want us to find out for you on a sort of a monthly-ish basis? You know, let's see if we can build this roundup just to include some of the things that you want us to find out.
Then the very last thing is, I think it's 28th of April, new sailings for April 28 through to October 28 go on sale.
All right, okay, you'll be sitting there, won't you?
I should be sitting there like this. And I think, and I don't know if I wrote this down, but just let me check. Might done, might not have done. No, I didn't. And I think from about the 23rd or 21st of April, you can start to view them and you can reserve them but not actually book them. So once they go live, you can then jump in. So,
you know, when we were on
ready for the end of April.
You know, when we were on board and we did our £75 a person and then we got our extra on-board spend, you can use that deposit card.
We did that on, and we've mentioned that in one of our roundups for the last cruise. When you're on board, if you're going on board or you know about this, we paid a deposit, not on a specific cruise.
No, just on our account.
We paid £75 each as the deposit, so that's our next deposit on our next cruise.
And as long as we book it within the next 12 months, you don't have to take the cruise within the next 12 months, but as long as we book it within the next 12 months, then we get extra on board to spend.
So we've paid that £75. We'll get that back when we book the cruise. But in addition to that, we've got an extra 100. Well, it's between 100 and 300, wasn't it?
No, between 50 and 200. 50
and 200 pounds. Well, there we go. 50 and 200 pound extra on board spend. So I think for a week's cruise, you're most probably going to get 100. 2-week cruise about 150. Anything over 2 weeks, you'll get about 200. So we've gained an extra 150 quid by doing that. So we'll be using that when those. I should be on there. Keyboard warrior.
Anyway, we're going to leave it there.
Have a great day. Enjoy your life. Keep everything P&O.
Yeah, and don't forget, if you've got any friends or any family that want to come and talk on, you know, our new Facebook page, it's P&O Cruises space all cruise ships. And hopefully we can build that page so we can have a lovely little community going on that love P&O Cruises.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Have a great day, everybody. Happy April.
See you later.